EDG banning out, and it shows that I bet EDG could have been willing to first pick that, but ultimately EDG gets the bear.
The Volley Bear flex instead, that's right. Xiaoshang's first game here in summer, played during spring alongside Junja as a substitute for Jinu. And then, of course, Audi came in as the better top laner. So this is an interesting decision. We weren't expecting this. We'll see what he heads towards in game one, while RNG get two strong picks in the Graves and the Aphelios for Gala.
Yep, obviously RNG's first rotation just screams scaling to us so far, and really, I would expect Hope to go towards this Ashe rather than going towards the Ezreal. Even though Ezreal is his most played champion this split, I think EDG have been a lot more and a lot better at playing out through like winning dominant bot lane champions, which is why I think they're our best Kalista playing bot lane and why we always see that champion ban against them.
But if you're talking best champions, Scouts is the Syndra, and they eventually will go with the Ashe for Hope instead.
Also a takeaway from Xiaohu. I had a fan message me the other day and say, hey, when Xiaohu came into the roster, came into professional scene, he was actually known as a Syndra one-trick. So obviously, I highlighted this in many RNG series, that even in spring, he was our one mid laner to always pick up this champion. And now we have two very set directions so far, with EDG a lot more pick-oriented, a lot more focused on the mid-game, to where RNG have signaled their first three picks, hey, late-game team fighting.
Okay. Well, the Nautilus on Ming, that's a favorite. We talked about this a lot in Spring Lyric. Ming picks one champion, or has been recently, and sticking with it. Nautilus, once again, his most played by far. We'll progress forward because picks and bans are flying through. They're going to start banning away other supports targeted at Mako, who is a great hook champion himself. It is Hook City in that bottom lane, while the global presence from Scout, or rather, Xiaohu, is going to be denied.
I mean, and right, Mako really just feels like he plays Nautilus, Leona, and Set. And that's, I mean, obviously the Thresh as well, but I was going to say if they take away the Leona here, Set Ashe just doesn't really sound like it combos together all too well. What I'm more interested in, where does Xiaohu go with mid lane picks? Does he go towards that Sylas that we mentioned earlier, which does have a bit of a rough laning phase up against the Syndra, or maybe go towards the TF? Same idea, doesn't do too well into the Syndra lane, but obviously you are playing more of a non-interactive laning phase in that sense. Or the last option I kind of see is an Orianna.
Okay, well, Wukong first, it seems to be, as the music is blaring. That's good. That's just what I want. I want it to be louder, because with the Wukong locked on in, you already talked about how the setup is here. A nice front line built up with early engage. And if EDG already have that pick potential, how do you facilitate that?
Ooh, that's going to be interesting to see. So right now they're showing the Mordekaiser, which is obviously a really strong pick into the Wukong. And when you have a comp that clearly already wants to come into you, Mordekaiser is always a good answer into that, because you could just pull something into the Death Realm.
But this would be ironic, because Jinu, who has now retired, who was known on the EDG roster, was such a big cannon top laner.
Yeah, and we've already said as well, Xiaoshang is the kind of player who can play any style, so clearly wanting some lane dominance here, and it works in numerous ways, right? You can think of Kennen as the kind of champion that can look for a flank on the enemy team, but he also serves as sort of zone control at dissuading the enemy team from coming in onto you, because you just open your ultimate, you get a huge stun onto the team, and allow your carries to just dish out a bunch of free damage. This would be something new.
Okay, Mako on Bard.
And this is not something he's played this split.
Nope.
This is not what you think of Mako for, like, in this iteration of EDG.
We've kind of crossed that threshold that Bard is like that pocket pick to now is stable meta pick that a lot of people are happy taking into tank bottom lane.
And this is also interesting because, once again, it'll make it harder for RNG to run into you. Also can set up some cool combinations like a Tempered Fate into then Xiaoshang just going on top of your whole team and opening that ultimate. And RNG going with what we said, picking the TF into the Syndra, obviously going to be quite a hard laning phase, but at the end of the day, you're not playing for your own lane, you're playing to snowball your team forward.
Okay, snowball for RNG, plus you talked about the team fighting and the late game scaling.
Well, exactly. So RNG's comp is definitely much more team fight oriented, but they do have a way to accelerate the game in the mid lane with Xiaohu. And on the other side, EDG definitely feel a lot more mid game focused, where their comp definitely comes online at one item a lot stronger than RNG's does. Scout will be dealing a ton of damage to that Ludens. If Hope does go for that Blade of the Rune King build, which is obviously a lot more standard with the Ashe, and then just setting up these picks around the map. And also, you have a lot of like big AoE combinations coming out with the Kennen as well.
That's true. See if Xiaoshang's up to the task. His first game in summer. On the Kennen pick, which we don't see much in the LPL. We've had dashes here and there. A couple of days ago, we've seen it, but at this point, for EDG, they need some wins on the board. The fans are losing faith, Lyric, but the same could be said for RNG fans right now. These guys are in a state of limbo.
I mean, remember when we filmed the last hit and I said, hey, I'm finally off the RNG boat. I'm finally off the RNG hype train. Like, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. I feel like that's a very good analogy for RNG fans, where after that last series against FPX, you're just like, man, you see this team go to 3 games so often and just not know how to close out. It's so disappointing. But EDG as well, right? EDG have the same problem where they're like the kings of game 1, but then in game 2 and game 3, they're both the same team as Syrix. We said that in the last series, but it's kind of true now.
Their last clean series against Rogue Warriors, but then after that against JDG, they got crumbled. RNG was against FPX, as you mentioned, 1 and 2. WE the same. V5, they got 2-0. RNG and EDG need wins on the board, and this is a great series to show who's better and who might actually clinch out a final playoff spot. We're not there yet, but wins on the board needed. As 3 and 5 for EDG, 4 and 4 for RNG. Looks like Quick Shot's dog was that.
Did you see that? Yeah. Quick Shot's dog, confirmed EDG fan.
Okay, all right. Someone tweet at him. Tell him Up has been on the internet.
Someone should let him know that his dog's supporting a different region, but, you know, supporting a better region, I would say.
That is true. Well, welcome to Summoner's Rift, a highlight matchup here on the Chinese side, and it's a highlight for us as well. A historic matchup where EDG lead the charge. In a way, this is like our Fnatic G2, don't you think?
No, it really is. It really is that classic matchup that everyone should tune in for. Even if these teams aren't necessarily top teams right now, but RNG actually...
This is an invade that is started successfully. Junja and Xiaoshang on the wing.
They're surrounded by EDG, though.
They're going to turn. But Junja, New has started with the E. Xiaohu with gold card. Junja doesn't successfully spring down the lightning. The Sky Splitter now on a cooldown itself. This is messy. Blue buff going to be stolen away over the wall. Junja has the smite available, but it is secured by Shalom, who hits level 2. Junja level 1.5 health. Successful invade. Now RNG go back to lanes.
And this is great to see them understand that they win out in this level 1 scenario. Xiaohu obviously coming in has the gold cards. Very easy to dissuade. Wukong, just famous for his level 1 with his passive and how easy it is to just stack up those resistances. And this is what we talked about RNG's early games.
Sky Splitter coming down though. Junja gets the smite, but he's not level 2 because the camp, rest of it was cleared by Xiaolong Bao, walking between turrets. He's going to walk away, and
I thought he was going to take some of the minion wave, but...
Yeah.
Oh god, still great start for RNG thus far. And let's kind of narrow in on where we should focus for each team, because I was going to say, for EDG to me, it's a lot more about playing through what should be early pressure lanes with your volley bear on top side, looking for some invades, having a very strong mid-jungle 2v2 and ganking through there.
Really good trade by Xiaoshang, but sorry, continue.
This is the pressure we're talking about playing around, of having the volley invade through top side and look for the 2v2 top, look for the 2v2 mid. RNG have kind of shut that down already. And, ooh, Xiaohu going for a really early gank.
Hope sends out the bird. They're going to pay respect, but Dredgeline already. Is the magical journey available from Mako? No. Well, gold card's about to come on out. Mako has to burn a flash, or at least prepare to. Ignite's down. He holds on the heal from Hope while they turn it around onto Xiaohu, but not enough damage. Good poke from Gala, and RNG getting active pre-6 on TF.
And this is what we said about RNG being this early game snowball team who just loves to play through early pressure, which is kind of hilarious when we set up that, hey, their composition is quite fine in the late game. You have the FLICKR, you have the teamfight setup, but, and it goes back to the old discussion, which I feel like I brought up too many times in this cast. Xiaohu is seriously the mid laner that every opportunity comes, he leaves from lane. I'm not even saying it's a positive right now. I'm just saying every time he pushes, he goes and does something.
You can stop being the Xiaohu apologist. You're the Xiaohu appreciationist. Yeah. That's your new role.
It really is, but on the same time, just nice to see from RNG thus far, have really kind of made this game hard for Junja to play. Yep. And we even look out, Xiaolong Bao hasn't lost on anywhere. He got his top side camps to move down to bot. He potentially could lose out on Krug since Xiaoshang has push, and Junja could go look to steal those out, and even potentially threaten a dive, but doesn't look like Xiaoshang's actually trying to stack a wave, so actually doesn't look like it.
At least Scuttle secured for top side for Junja, who you mentioned is so far behind, almost 10 CS in that jungle. And Xiaolong Bao still clearing strong.
And once again, once he hits that level 6 mark, you're going to have that Destiny available. You're going to be able to make these plays on side lane where Scout can't answer because Scout has cleanse in this matchup. So you're going to have the ability to find picks and create a numbers advantage, to where this is why we set up that we want to see Junja play a lot more through that mid 2v2 to where it's like, hey, put pressure on Xiaohu so he can't find those windows to leave lane.
Because if Xiaohu's free like this, if Xiaolongbao has a lead, we know how bad Volibear is at ganking, right? You talked about it earlier, how not really much of a gap close.
Nope, and the good thing for him, at least with the Syndra, is you could try to just wrap around the mid lane choke, and you have the scatter of the weak to force him out. Xiaoshang just
Playing really well in this matchup.
Which, I mean, he did counter pick this, but remember when we saw Xiaoshang in Demacia Cup and everyone was hyped for him? Like, man, this kid is so promising, he's so talented. He had such a good performance in Demacia Cup, it actually made EDG put him on the main roster when he was expected to play in the LDL.
When he was a weak side top laner, and I'm not saying that because he played weak side, he was just a weaker top lane in general when he debuted in the LPL.
And to be fair, though, I don't necessarily feel like he was bad, but Audi came in and played better.
Yeah.
Because remember, it was actually Xiaoshang who came in first, and EDG started playing this new style, the ganking top.
And it was Junja alongside him, right?
Yeah. And we saw Junja Scout be this two-man squad that would consistently go for these dives with top tower and leave Hope and Mako to just play by themselves. And that's really been the defining thing about EDG's style this split. It's been way more topside oriented rather than helping out their bot lane.
Xiaoshang's had some time to kind of rejuvenate. He hasn't been in the LPL for a couple of months now. When Audi was the key to success, he and Jinu balanced the role for a bit as Xiaohu getting aggressed on by Scout. There's been some good trades here. You talked about how dangerous the laning phase could be, but Xiaohu's kept up in CS.
True, but the thing I like about Scout's doing now is it's a level 6 mark, so this is where you do want to try to aggressively trade health and mana to stop Twisted Fate from being able to make these plays with Destiny. But guess what? There's a honey fruit. It doesn't matter. All the hard work by Scout ruined.
Well, Xiaohu might be caught out here though, Lyric. Gold card will be available versus 3. Never mind the flash. Junja is so angry at that early game that he gives first blood to Scout.
And that's great to see because targeting the global was what EDG needed to do. EDG do it. We have Mako come over. Mako has not typically been this early game roaming support in this iteration of EDG. He's much more about sitting in lane with Hope, just making sure he can farm up nice, become big and strong, and be a late game threat. Hope on the Ashe, a lot more of a pick-oriented AD carry, and Mako on the Bard is quite different.
All right, let's have a look at this again, though, because that's right, the roam from Mako sets it up.
I'm actually kind of surprised the scatter of the week hit there. It didn't necessarily look like it would have, but still great. It does hit. The slow came out for Mako, and Junja flashing in aggressively just to assure that he gets bursted out before he can flash away.
So Xiaohu comes back to lane. Teleport was already burned, but it is a spellbook TF, of course. While Scout, First Blood nets the lost chapter. And you also see that Junja's caught up on CS. So that early jungle where Xiaolongbao took over is no longer the biggest fact. As Scout, bit of damage down, but Nick and Xiaolongbao are here.
Now they're going to look for a play on bot, I assume. You have your two-man squad roam towards mid, which will free up Xiaohu, and it also allows the enemy bot lane to push, which could then set up the easy gank for Xiaohu into the bot lane. But obviously, Xiaolongbao just getting spotted on a ward makes that quite hard.
Well, Junja's up towards the top side. He's going to get a bit of a response by this Dragon gets started. A bit more experience in the back pocket. Hope's going to spot this out with a good place ward.
But they're in no position to do this, and even pressure-wise, right, we set up that, hey, all of their playmaking potential does come around the top side with the fact of how hard Xiaoshang's winning in his matchup, which, to be fair, knows about, looks like potentially 2 waves once Nu catches what's coming into him, but still, I think it's actually a fine job done by Nu to survive in this matchup.
When Herald's getting started, Xiaolongbao spotted out in the bottom side ward. A lot of information given over to EDG.
Yep, but still, ultimately just kind of trading sides of the map right now. Not wanting to risk... Actually, they're not even not wanting to risk gold. They actually are just trying to scout out Xiaolongbao on the red buff because Xiaohu's getting pushed in. He's in no position to look for some kind of big Destiny play on bot lane. Nope, I was going to say, it looks like there could be a small window right now, but isn't able to clear out the mid wave in time, but potentially could just give up this next wave.
Oh man, Gala's in a big lead though, Lyric. This is a Aphelios things starting off. He's got a BF sword.
Yep, and this kind of goes back to the early pressure we saw on Junja, where it made it very easy for Xiaolongbao to hover towards bot side, and always a bit risky for Hope to step up for all the CS.
I guess I didn't take into account reset timers. It's going to be the slicing maelstrom for the Cyclone. Xiaoshang a lot squishier. Nu unable to follow up, but Seeker's Armor Guard probably paying dividends in that trade.
Still right. 2 waves behind, I think, isn't too bad as the Wukong. Of course, you're going to lose out in an AP matchup, let alone an AP range champion. So We're waiting for News Impact to be a lot more in skirmishes and team fights. I mean, same could be said for Xiaosheng though, right? He's obviously going to have a big impact himself. So it's really interesting how these two drafts interact with each other, just from the fact that RNG do have a way to play out the mid-game with a Twisted Fate, even though we do favor EDG's comp in mid-game skirmishes.
Yep.
So seeing how RNG can create and or find windows like we saw them trying before with the two-man hover towards mid is going to be really important.
Wait for those ultis to be used again. And Xiao, who has blue buff, a push out here from Scout, while blue's going to be transferred over to the Syndra.
And I'd love to actually see EDG find an opportunity to use the Herald on mid here, because if you can increase the size of that mid lane, you know, get some wards on it once you turn it down, push it into the inner turret, it's going to make it much harder for Xiaohu to find opportunities to roam on the map, especially if Scout is already potentially hovering there himself.
Okay, don't get fooled. That's only an Ignite through the spellbook. Xiaosheng will now turn back to Teleport. So that summoner is available, but News will be as well when the next dragon comes up. RNG picked up the first. And
this is why you see a lot of Kennons go the Spellbook route where, you know, it's typically, I mean, there's actually kind of three options, right? Spellbook, Phase Rush, or Conquer.
Yep.
A lot of people feel like Kennon doesn't necessarily need the Conquer. Like, you have enough damage in your kit to Phase Rush, which is much better for ganks and team fights. It just comes in handy. You can take Conquer into easy tank matchups, though, since you do get so much free harass. And then Spellbook is just kind of much more utility throughout the game. Obviously, we got to see the fact that this is a bully matchup. He could switch that Ignite early on, which can allow for a bigger lead in lane.
Plus, when he gets the Proto Belt as well, I feel like New's going to regret life that much more.
True. It's going to be quite nice for him. And obviously, our eyes right now are just on EDG for the fact that they have the Herald, so they are the one who really control the next big map state swing.
Where Junja's been tracking Xiaolongbao, you can see this constant attention to warding bot where this Graves is, so he can find out when to use it.
And the fact that we see EDG constantly hovering mid shows me the fact that they probably do want to use this mid like we talked about.
Yeah.
But instead just trying to find a pick here, but RNG, no.
Scout, maybe it's his attention as Dredge line over the wall. Ming commits, but Scout gets on out. Now the damage to the backside. Stormbringer from the back line as well. Junja disengages for Unleashed Power used. The arrow sails up as well and nails down Xiaohu, who has the cleanse. Xiaolongbao lucky he gets out as EDG pick up another kill.
And think about it. RNG were committing to that play pretty blind. Like, they didn't actually have vision. They knew they were all there, but we saw them overcommit, make Ming, go for the hook. And nice by Xiaosheng to commit the TP, and this goes towards that mid lane play we were talking about. Hey, if you can get this turret down early, it's going to make it really hard for Xiaohu to be that one who tries to allow for his strong side laners to become big team fight threats.
Really nice kite back from EDG. 2 kills up in this early game. Might not be much of a gold lead, but there's a lot on Scout here with his first item. And I remember you talking about first item spikes for EDG and how big they are as Mako on top of Gala with Destiny now available. EDG haven't taken this into account, so Mako just gonna die to the hands of who? To Gala. And EDG, as they do something nice, kind of send it right back.
And you think about that one, that's not really a play by RNG, right? That was EDG, the ones being an aggressor, and RNG being the ones to make a counterplay. So overall, it was a misstep by EDG more than anything else.
I guess the only thing that you're happy about is that TP was used by New.
Exactly, and I'd say great job by RNG just to punish overall. And you would think that this should lead to an RNG Dragon, because now they're sending Xiaohu up towards top to answer the wave. Xiaohu has TP. They have TP advantage, leads to a Dragon. Nice objective secure for RNG. I want to see if EDG have a way to answer, but the fact that Junja's just resetting now doesn't look like it.
Okay, second Dragon going over. Ocean and Cloud. Now Curiosity. We're going to get Mountain or Infernal. Either way, pretty happy with that. Maker keeps trying to steal this with a Q. There will be a Mountain Rift here in game number 1. With Scout going a bit too far forward. The flash committal from New. Double Cyclone for the knockup. Collateral damage misses. But that was the trigger forward for RNG.
And we have seen, even going back to the mid lane play they failed, right? They are very willing to make these plays, which was our criticism of them in FPX game 2 and 3. It's like, hey, you need to be more confident looking for these when you have these clear windows and these advantages. And it's so interesting to see how turret HP is being traded across the map. Almost both top lane turrets are close to going down. Obviously, EDG almost breaking down that mid lane turret with the Herald. And bot lane looks like the opposite, to where RNG have been hitting that turret pretty freely.
It was Galu finding it before, grabbed him with the Moonlight Vigil. Ming close with the Dredge line. Mako even dodges as well. And Chanakrasara for the turnaround. There's no cleanse, but with Severum, I don't think Mako wants to make this. Exhaust is out for Gala. He keeps the Chakrams in hand. while Junja is walking down. Hope with no mana, the Tempered Fate flushed away from. Teleporters a response. This is Xiaohu. And the fight is done.
And this game might only have 4 kills, but don't let that fool anyone.
True.
This game has been constant action so far.
As Scout's going to feel that. Xiaolongbao walking on in, the hose used, but Scout secures. This could be a dive topside. Meanwhile, action across with a slicing Maelstrom. Yu's been electrocuted, but the solo kill from the new top laner.
First game back in the LPL, guys, and Xiao Sheng is firing on all cylinders. This was the hyped-up, promising rookie that we saw from Demacia Cup, and EDG just creating so much pressure on the map. Gonna pick up what should be a second turret, just any minute now.
Big bounty here on this cannon. You talked about the counter matchup, but you not paying the respect here to the lightning person.
Yordle?
Yeah.
And again, the cool thing about it is it can work in numerous ways. You can have like the Tempered Fate or Ash Arrow find the CC, which sets up Cannon to find a flank or just even run forward. Or you could have it where Nu or Ming are coming into you just channel your ultimate, suddenly you're going to start CCing a bunch of members, and it makes it safe for your 2 carries to deal all the damage. And I mean, here, just feeling so much damage, finds a stun very early on. We know the fact that new Wukong doesn't have the magic resist in his kit, just does make it quite easy for an AP champion to bully him out.
As we come back live, ball fighting. I don't think we're sticking with 4 kills here. Lyric has Hope with a good kite around, but he's been turned on by Gala, who picks up the kill yet again. Dredgeline flashed away from. And while EDG is successful topside, bot is getting pounded.
At the same time, though, RNG are the ones who commit to bot side. EDG find a 1-for-1. That's a win for EDG.
Yeah. They've got a gold lead. They've got 1K in the bank. 16 minutes in. And every time we see EDG versus RNG, both teams always step up to the plate. While EDG and RNG received our criticism for their previous series, this is the, I think, better forms of both teams so
RNG
far.
is weird because it feels like they step up against all their big team rivals, right? Like when they play IG, FPX, EDG, they always play better than any other series. And EDG is specifically this one. It's like EDG specifically, it's we're facing RNG buff, we're going to play better.
Throughout the past.
I mean, I do want to say from talking to the coaching staff of both teams is that apparently they're very close. The players, since they've played against each other so many times over the years and internationally, you just naturally become friends. Because think about it, sitting either in a playoffs waiting room or a Worlds waiting room, just being there, both of your teams are there, it becomes very easy to talk and actually become personable.
These 2 orgs are synonymous with Worlds representatives for the LPL, as Ming, Unleash Power, going to be golden just in the nick of time. Scout's waiting around for the kill, but can't secure. Might go nearby, but doesn't commit the ulti, and Ming gets out. But these are our 2 Worlds representatives, have been for a while, bar last year, where it was only RNG, and they failed.
And funnily enough, well, stop.
Okay, story time's come to an end. Xiao, who's been knocked on down, a lot of damage. Enchanted Crystalaro connects while Xiao Sheng almost gets Xiaolongbao, but turns around to secure a killing spree against Xiaohu.
And I love that if you've been following is they've really been attacking Xiaohu, which really just follows that motto of attacking the global pressure from the team, so not allowing Xiaohu to go be the force who's making all these big Destiny plays around the map.
Well, now into mid, Gala and Ming only narrowly dodge around. Proactive as all hell EDG have been in the early game.
Yeah, and just gonna end up picking up another objective as well. And I mean, let's calm down. I feel like a lot of EDG fans are watching the screenshot now being no, this is game on EDG. We are not being fooled.
It's game 1 RNG though.
I mean, but that makes you wonder what
game is
well,
what?
It's I feel like EDG's game 1 buff is definitely stronger. Not even just because of what we're seeing now, but just kind of how the split's gone so far. But how does RNG's team change when EDG's game buff is so strong?
That's true.
Does it end up being a 2-0 or
maybe game 2 and 3 is a buff for RNG?
That's what I'm wondering, right? Is EDG's game 2 and 3 drop off so strong that RNG's game 2 and 3 drop off come back online? And I'm sorry for all the EDG fans out there. We're kind of making you worry, but this is such good play coming from EDG. It's so awesome to watch.
It is, but let's not forget there's a Mountain Soul on the horizon.
Yes,
and while you talked about EDG, how their pick potential is, and their 1 item spike, you talked also about the team fight and accelerating the mid game. Accelerating from Xiaohu to the rest of the map. Now, that hasn't happened, but Gala's still big, and RNG still have that massive Aphelios they can play through.
And you're still going to have tanks, as long as you don't get blown out like a 25-minute loss, New is eventually going to get tanky. Ming's going to get tanky.
Yep.
Even Xiaohu and Gala having defensive stats available to them in Zanya's and Death's Dance. So stacking up 2 mountains could be quite valuable, as well as the shield, of course.
Oh, New almost got picked on out. Scout was spotted out. Unfortunate. New could have just been dead, and EDG could have continued.
And we see that Xiaosheng has picked up the Oblivion Orb, so he's pretty much going to be dealing the maximum amount of damage possible at this point in the game.
Tentacles arrow flies on out through Ming, or rather Gala actually flashes away. It's a double knockup. EDG have used a lot. Destiny comes out as well from Xiaohu, ready to teleport.
I actually like that they haven't used the Slicing Maelstrom yet, though, because
Flash
that's
flip.
going to be a key one for these big team fights.
Okay, Stormbringer available as well, plus the ulti on Scout and Junjia. As Dragon not up for a while, we're just fighting for EDG's pick that you set out at the start of the game.
Well, right. So this is where EDG are strongest, so they group up as a 5-man, or even having Xiaosheng push in a side lane, very easy for them to roam and group up together. To where we set up, RNG's map pressure all needed to come from Xiaohu early on. Didn't happen, so now they do need to look to play either on a slower back foot and just use Destiny to punish enemy mistakes and wait for Gala to be that big carry. And to me, even waiting for New to get a bit more defensive stats, because at this point, look at him. He has the Triforce, he has the Tiamat. If he goes in, he's pretty much just going to get exploded by the members of EDG, especially the fact that their 2 biggest members are the 2 AP members of the team.
Yeah.
So he will not have a good time going in with that Cyclone.
Nope. Downside of Wukong.
But going back to a point I was going to make before is, you even look at these rosters. The 2 long-standing members of both sides are mid lane and support.
Yep.
So the fact that I'm sure there is some kind of like rapport built between these positions, and you know, whatever it is, like common respect or friendship, is quite interesting.
It's kind of funny because Mako is the franchise player for EDG. I mean, at this point, people would say it's Scout and Mako, just because of their tenure in this team. Xiaohu and Ming share the same bond, but it is Xiaohu who's been here the longest.
Yep.
And Ming who came shortly after.
It's like slightly reversed, right?
Yeah. Where Mako, everyone remembers, 2015 MSI with Deft and Pawn. Deft as an 80 carry, I can only imagine would have been very, very fun. I mean that in only a respectful way, of course. I mean, having Deft as an 80 carry, you'd be like, I'm not worthy.
Yep, coming in with the kind of the rebuild around the Koreans. If anyone remembers, Season 4 Worlds, EDG were there. I remember them
Sort
actually.
of the Exodus, didn't they?
Yep, the Korean Exodus. I remember the only thing I remember about Season 4 Worlds, obviously as someone who came from the LMS, was AHQ beating EDG in that Group A.
Oh.
Let's go Green Tea and Westor.
Okay.
But
Told you you're an old man.
doesn't matter, because the fact is HQ is not too relevant of a team now, to where I guess both teams are kind of nowhere near their former glory, to where EDG used to obviously dominate the LPL, and Season 5 HQ came out on top in LMS, and now PCS are nothing.
EDG
so.
had 2 years where they got 1 second place and everything else was first, right?
And even
That
going
MSI
back
was in it.
to the early days, like the Season 4 as well, was an extremely great year for EDG, built around Name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a boomer in terms of League of Legends.
You know a lot. I've had to unfortunately study back and go through as to what I've missed all these
Which
years.
is it's never the same, right? It's
No,
not
I
the
want to
same as
experience it
live.
firsthand. you
Yeah.
know? Like seeing, first Fnatic, then G2 get smashed at Worlds Finals. See, I experienced that.
Yeah. The big one for most people I'd always recommend is IPL 5, but at the same time,
yeah.
I don't feel like it has the same magic. So let's just live in the now and experience the history being made in RNG about to be at Soul Point. Well, I mean, they're at Soul Point, but
And
Soul coming up in 30 seconds.
I'm here now for it, so that feels pretty good. 30 seconds still, that Soul you mentioned. EDG have just been farming away. There's a Spellbinder on Scout for this next fight. Morel and Omicron completed by Xiaosheng. That'll stop a lot of Gala, while Xiaohu's pushing topside as a Banshee's Valve.
Xiaosheng showing massive respect, right?
Yep.
Not actually pushing out far in lane, knowing that this kind of 2-3 plays coming at them with both Soul laners here.
Waiting in the wing as well, uses the Proto Build. Shalom nearby.
I think it's too obvious. Like, Xiaohu's pushed up this far at his turret when Drake's up. Like he knows. We all know.
Xiaosheng gonna sit here and go, all right. Even that control ward there, Shalom comes in, he's gonna know soon enough. Press Q. Okay, Slicing Maelstrom used, he flashes away. Now he knew, but he didn't know. He thought, it's too obvious, maybe it didn't.
I think he knew, but at the same time, you start to question, like, how long are they here?
You're thinking, they think I know, so maybe I don't know. The double-edged sword of knowing.
That's not how that works.
Hey, he had to burn a flash,
Oh,
so in the end he didn't know. Well,
I'm not going to keep going. I can't.
RNG
I
give up
can't
the
for
dragon.
the fans' sake.
EDG did
give
pick
the
that
dragon.
up.
So
Yeah.
that is
They give
not
it.
a moment, but hey, I mean, you think about it now. They do have quite a bit of a buffer where they could give up a few of these drakes and just kind of get more items onto Gala, Xiaolong Bao. We even talked about New getting these tanky stats, you know, now finally starting to build towards the death stance.
Finding a pick. As Xiaolong Bao going to get towards that point as well, as you mentioned. Black Cleaver already picked up. EDG in front of Baron, and you've got 2 items on Hope. You've also got a Dead Man's Plate onto Junja.
And this is pretty much the strongest point. Like, okay, one more item, you know, we pull out things like Rabadons or Leandries for Ken and stuff like this. You'll be technically stronger, but I'd say relatively to RNG's comp, this is the strongest point in the game for EDG.
I guess as long as Hourglass is going to make it so that the rest of EDG can excel when Xiaoshan gets that as well.
Yep, going to obviously feel quite safe then really being an aggressive option in these team fights rather than the patience we talked about him in the last team fight, saving it for more of a zoning purpose.
But you see what's happening top, don't you? The dive building. Junja with that ulti wants to bring some storm.
But we see on the mini-map, right, the rest of RNG's here. They know. We're going back to knowing, and both teams know what's going on.
But then the biggest failure is knowing that you don't know. So we'll see. The biggest part is, Hughes made the roam, and Chanakosara attempted. Xiaolong Bao just dodges away. That's a key pick key. I'm going to say key one more time.
This is also not a pick we've associated with Hope like this year at least, right? This is Hope's second game on the Ashe this split.
Yep.
He's been way more about Ezreal, Fellas, and as I mentioned, his Kalista, I think, has been his real standout champion this
He's
split.
a real hard carry, 80 carry, right?
Yeah. And I mean, even the Kalista, though not a
Ooh! Xiaolong Bao! Oh, Baron flashes away! Any collateral damages to get on out.
That was one of those ones, he just got scared, he just pressed flash right away, he's like, oh my god,
He
what do I do?
butt-mashed.
Yeah.
I mean,
butt mashed and it worked.
Scout is scary. Scout is pretty large in this game, so you can see now ulti down, but flash burnt by Xiaolong Bao.
Yeah, and obviously did spike a bit earlier this game with the fact that he did go the GLP build, which sure is less damage than the Ludens, but obviously comes online earlier since it is a bit cheaper in gold. Obviously sets up your combo a lot easier as well with that slow.
Utility mix. You got Ice Ice Baby across the team. Also, Volibear is built in the Storm and kind of icy himself.
Yes.
So
I mean, wait, do we have Snow Day Bard or no? I can't remember what skin he's using.
I don't know. Everyone uses the Astronaut one now.
Everyone does. I don't think he is, though. I don't think he's using the Astronaut one.
Okay, we'll see.
We will see. I mean,
We have no communication with our cameraman.
why don't we remember skins?
Because you said skins are useless.
I
And this is like Star Wars Volibear, right?
Hey,
it is.
Snow Day Bard. Let's go.
Ice Synergy.
What about Xiaoshang?
Oh, because there is like a storm.
There is an icy one. What if chat and the fans have realized this the whole time, and we are just now catching? He's doing it. He is. Oh, he's not.
That's the super
Oh,
cannon.
he's not.
You know, the only
He ruined it.
the only skin synergy I realize is when someone picks a world skin against the person whose skin that is. Example: Jackie Love IG skin when you're versing it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
It is always the best.
Are we calling this Crime City yet, or what? That's just Mafia Graves, right?
Yeah. Oh God, Crime City. Oh God, the fans. What do we do, fans? Crime City.
I'm sorry I brought that up. Wow.
Please don't touch sensitive topics.
Okay.
You might be offending some people.
I got a DM, by the way, from someone saying British meat pies are just Aussie meat pies, but worse.
Oh, nice.
Not as much meat, apparently.
So Munchables.
Yeah.
Jake
Who do you
kind of
think you
calling
are?
you out.
Oh no,
Ooh!
Xiaolong Bao again. Scout had ulti and didn't want to flash for it. Lucky Xiaolong Bao gets out once more, but this may secure up the second mountain for EDG.
And the thing is, I actually still don't feel like RNG's comp has a way of getting pressure first. Like, whether you just group 5-man, I feel like EDG's comp wins at this stage. If you send someone to a side lane, obviously EDG side laners still win at this stage.
You have to remember, RNG have been doing a really good job of denying any opportunity for EDG. Even Xiaolong Bao getting caught out still survives.
And the decent thing about RNG's comp as well, when we're talking about like getting vision, is that Twisted Fate allows your comp to come on an objective second because of his destiny. So it won't ever be too much of a detriment. And essentially, if New can come off with a massive flank, this will be interesting.
Unless Xiaohu dies first. The hose flashed away from. Lockdown onto Gala. Junja's running in. Destiny used and Chanakosara gets backline with an instant QS there. Anu with his flank important, but they're going to turn on him instead. That's just a clone. Xiaohu also destined into that brush and walks away.
Still, though, now RNG don't have the tool to, face check vision into EDG. EDG still have a lot of their key carry ultimates available if RNG do elect into coming into them.
Oh, Ming flashing over the wall. Dredgeline, we've been in this position before, and Scout's all the way out. As Ming now doesn't have that summoner available.
Man, Ming is just so aggressive, and it's so fun to watch.
But sometimes not the greatest. Dredgeline almost onto Hope would have been great. As Gala pokes on down. Minion wave cleared on out. Neutral state mid. While EDG assert dominance back in the river.
And EDG do have pressure on bot if they do need to, exit the river.
Oh, that triple grabbed him now with the Moonlight Vigil. Hit both Scout and Mako at half health. They're being zoned out. Junja in Sin because Xiaoshang was ready to go in with the slicing Maelstrom, but there's no follow-up. He's poked on down, and Gala's having a field day. A double to Xiaolong Bao, and RNG now with the Mountain Soul say yummy.
And I don't even know how Junja ended up getting picked off the stairs. How
he ran in.
Exactly, that's not what you're supposed to do. All of your engage tools were down. We even see, look at Hope's icon. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow is back up soon. The Tempered Fate is up soon. You could have waited those out. You gave RNG a way to get back in this game. Not they were necessarily out, but a way into the team fight.
At least sooner than expected.
And RNG, though, playing it mechanically extremely well, as you pointed out.
Gala with Gravitum made that happen.
It was amazing. It was beautiful. And this is why Gala, in his first two series, has looked quite good.
While now in front of Baron, they're sitting behind the MRD buff activated, while Mako going to go for the engage, or rather Ming, his counterpart. Xiaohu in the backline with red card onto Hope, their target. Perfect. Scout can't get Scout of the week. And all that ulti damage into Xiaohu meant nothing with a Banshee's Vow. Baron secured, and RNG take control of this game one.
And think about this. All of it just from this last minute and a half of posturing in front of the Mountain Dragon. We see EDG starting it off looking for picks. Okay, so we're going to come about halfway into where, just a beautiful play from Gala. And then Junja, no idea what he's doing, just kind of loses his mind, goes in. Also, kind of baits Xiaoshang in there as well. Yeah. And as you pointed out, Scout and Hope not having a way to actually get into the fight and deal any damage. So a bit of misplay from EDG, but also beautiful by Gala to set up that state of confusion.
Even a bit of damage on the Moonlight Vigil on the way out added to that piece of power.
It's crazy because coming in, it's sure, I think a lot of us thought Gala was fine. He was always a standout team fighter on the side of DMO, but I don't think anyone expected him to be an upgrade over Betty because sure, Betty was filling in the shoes of Uzi and was highly criticized, but Betty was always fine. He was never a bad AD carry. I'd say he was always upper pack AD carry, his time this year in LPL, but Gala has just stood out in these past two series.
Betty just facilitated a very different role, and Gala's standout on this Aphelios has been pretty insane, as running down mid with a Baron buff, RNG with utter control to upgrade the level of status against EDG in this first game.
I'd say Gala has that LPL mindset of where he has the killer instinct, where Betty still...
Hang on, two-man ulti, rather it's only onto New. Sorry about the clone. But Xiaoshang with his flash down. RNG still have this cannon mid and Baron buff with the next wave coming in.
Ooh, we see New TPing back in, so they're going to keep the pressure up. He still has Baron buff too, so they are still able to do it. They can pull two members bot here. Oh, they're going to pull three members bot, so RNG can now just push mid for free.
Absolute free. The minion wave to help, and EDG getting pulled left, right, and center. Inhibitor exposed. That'll drop as well. The Tempered Fate onto Gala. Destiny being used again as a triple knockup into the backline. Gala has the range, though, and immediately Mako drops on down. The poke with the Chakram, and Xiao jumps in. Golden in the nick of time, draws out the ult from Scout. Collateral damage with the AoE, and RNG might just end it here.
And just absolutely beautiful by them to pull EDG apart, find all this damage. And like you said, it's a 5v3 right now. They can keep going.
With the inhibitor to secure just in case. Death timers are long. Nexus turrets exposed. And straight into the backline, New starts spinning on top of Hope, zoning him into the Nexus itself. Junja has to jump on out, but Xiaolong doesn't let him. Game one to RNG in explosive fashion.
And overall, Hysterics, I just got to say, that game was a banger. Even though it ended up with a pretty low kill score, there was constant action back and forth, extremely close from both teams. In the end, it ended up being EDG making a mistake.